All right. Happy Wednesday. Welcome, everyone. And I'm so glad that you're joining. As people are hopping on, please let me know in the comments where you are listening or watching us from. And let me also say that if you happen to be catching this on the replay, if you'll put in the comments #replay so that I know that you watch this then. And it looks like we are successfully now streaming on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So great job. Let me also tell you too that if you're joining us from Facebook, it is real important that you go to streamyard.com/Facebook and give Facebook permission to connect with you. You'll just give it permission to see your name, because otherwise, if you comment from Facebook, we won't know. It'll just say Facebook user. So it's streamyard.com/Facebook. So I just want to real quickly introduce myself if I'm new to you and you are new to me. I am Beverly Smith, and I am the founder of Career Success Strategies. And I'm also the former owner of a staffing and recruiting firm. So I tell you that to tell you I know firsthand what hiring managers are looking for, and I'm using that knowledge to help mid and senior level professionals build their resumes so that they can land the career of their dreams. Now, last week, we got the inside scoop from Amy Langston on what internal recruiters are looking for and steps that you can take to ensure that you land that interview. So if you missed it, it was jam-packed with some really good information. Be sure to go back and catch the replay. You can go to my YouTube channel, which is at Beverly Smith Resumes, and it's going to be underneath the live tab. So be sure to check it. But this week, I'm so excited to introduce you guys to my friend Misti Hurd of Robert Half, and she's going to be talking to us about what we should do when we don't have a college degree, which I think is a hugely important topic. And before we dive in there, I want to tell you a little bit about Misti. She is the director of the permanent placement team for finance and accounting at Robert Half, which was actually founded in 1948, and they remain the leader in the staffing industry. She's dedicated over 20 years to the dynamic field of sales and business development, but it is her passion for connecting with talent, or connecting talent with opportunity, that has led her into the staffing industry for the last 7 years. She actually holds a certification in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is a testament to her commitment to fostering diverse and inclusive workplaces. One of the many reasons that she actually joined Robert Half is because they do have a heavy focus on DEI, and they're continually receiving accolades in this space. Misti's also a member of the Central Arkansas Human Resource Association, which is where I met Misti. And additionally, I love this, it's so interesting. Misti is a certified life coach and the founder of Lotus Life Coaching and Consulting. She believes that personal development and spirituality are the cornerstone of professional and individual success. Outside of work, she's an active member of the New Beginnings Church here in Central Arkansas. And it's an open and affirming community of faith where her partner, Nikki, is the pastor. So welcome, Misti. I'm so glad you're here with us. Thank you for joining.
Thanks for having me.
So I think this topic that we are going to discuss, I know you and I talked a little bit off camera about this, and with us both having this background in recruiting and in staffing, it's huge. It's just, I'm so excited that we're going to dive into talking about the whole issue of college degrees and what people should do if they don't have one, or if they're close, and all of that. So thank you for bringing your expertise to that.
Thanks. Thank you.
So let's start off by talking from the perspective of the employers, the companies. Why do you think some of them are just not willing to bend on this issue?
I think that, especially with, accounting and finance roles, which is what I specialize in, I think And it does. It speaks true to how committed a person is, how serious they are about going into a certain profession. So I think they kind of look at that as a barometer on maybe a risk, as maybe they'd be a little bit less risky if they have a college degree.
Mm.
Um, so, my overall thought, and I relate to this topic just simply because, I've been in business development and sales for almost 25 years. And when I first started, I wanted to go into pharmaceutical sales. I had started out my very first job was a pharmacy technician at the Walmart pharmacy. And they actually paid while I was there to get a certification, my pharmacy tech license.
Mhm.
So I thought that having the 2 and 3 years experience that I had and having that certification would help me get into pharmaceutical sales. And I tried for many, many years. I think I only quit trying probably about like 7 years ago when I finally realized that they were just absolutely not going to budge on letting
Mhm.
a salesperson come in that did not have a degree, even if the degree had nothing to do with the actual job. So it definitely held me back in that particular area, but have been very grateful to have a career where people, my superiors saw something in me that didn't have to pertain to a degree.
Right, right. So you're saying you feel like it's kind of mitigating the risk of maybe someone not being as qualified, and that's kind of why they're just so set in stone on it.
Yeah, I think so. But my feeling on that is if they've got the experience and they meet all of the requirements of the job that they're looking for, the
Mhm.
description that we've been given, they've got longevity in their careers. I think that that's something that should be considered versus, just a quick no. And I don't know if I'm sure you've heard some of these statistics, but when you've got over 300,000 people have left the accounting and finance field, in the last 2 years. And, few more and more college age students are not going into accounting and finance. In fact, I've got some numbers here, but there's been a 7.8% decline in college students getting accounting degrees. And that's less than it's been since
Wow.
1994. So
Wow.
yeah, there's a big shift. So you've got people that are also leaving the accounting field, and people wanting to get in it, but maybe they don't have those certain education requirements. So
Mm.
we just want employers to consider everything, not just the degree. Obviously, the degreed people are amazing, but we also have some people that have been in the roles, have been doing the job, but they just don't have the degree.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Are there any like things that people can take certification wise or anything for accounting that might be in lieu of the degree?
Yeah. So, I mean, we always tell people look into getting, there are different certifications. I've got a couple that I jotted down for this. They can get certain certifications in like AP and AR,
Mm.
tax certifications. We also recommend doing continued education.
Mhm.
So, whether that be like enrolling in workshops or specialized courses, I think those things do shine through to employers as well. So just trying to get as much education as you can in the field without having the actual degree. I think Beverly's frozen there. um, so another statistic that I was going to share when it comes to this is that 60% of public finance workers are over age 45 and less than
Mm.
20% are younger than 35. So
Oh my
there's
goodness.
there's a big gap there, right?
Mhm.
Um, and the other thing that I was going to share too is that 41, this is a Robert Half survey that we actually did. 41% of finance and accounting professionals are actually looking to change roles at the end of this year. So when you think about this many people not only leaving accounting, but
Mm-hmm.
leaving their roles, even if they're staying in accounting, and then you have employers that are not relaxing
Mm-hmm.
that requirement, and you've got less college students going into accounting, and that's due to, you know, they just don't think it's cool, to be honest. That's the
Mm-hmm.
feedback given. They also feel like maybe something in tech, you know, will be more money. But if you've got less and less people go into college, and you have more and more people leaving accounting and finance, you're going to have to relax some of those requirements in order to get those roles filled, because then you run into burnout. You've
Mm-hmm.
got in your accounting roles with your companies that are having to fill in as you're waiting to fill this role with somebody that is degreed, and maybe that person's not available right now. And then you're going to end up losing the rest of the people on your team. They're going to quit because they're burnt out from handling additional duties.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's any trends among employers to address this issue that you're seeing?
As far as employers, I mean, again, it kind of just comes back to looking at the numbers there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you don't have the people going to college, and more are, you know, going for different professions, I think that would be the trend that they need to most pay attention to. And then just how many people are leaving the field in general.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit and let's talk about how someone who is looking for a job, maybe um, in accounting and finance, or just anything in general that got on that job description requires such and such degree. What kind of things can they do to offset that? What are you seeing and recommending there?
I think that everybody should, you know, obviously still apply for positions that they think that they are qualified for. I know on my team, a lot of times we'll get a job description from a company, and they'll say, yes, we absolutely have to have a degree. They've got to have this many years experience. They have to have this and this and this. And I'll just have a conversation, and I'll say, you know, what if we have a star candidate that has all of these qualifications except the degree? They've got 10 years experience. They've got such and such certification. They've got longevity in all their careers. 9 out of 10 times, some employers will relax that requirement. So
Mm,
I never say not to apply. I also think when applying, make sure on your resume, and, you know, list any continuing education that you've done, any, even if it's LinkedIn Learning, even, and you can
mm.
attest to that, any certifications, any courses, anything like that that are relevant to the role that you're trying to get. I think definitely share that on your resume, and you can speak to that, Beverly, more better
Oh,
than I can.
absolutely. I think it's really important that if you've worked towards that degree, you can always put however many hours or coursework towards a degree in accounting or in finance or whatever the degree might be. And then especially being able to highlight the specific things that you've done in your career that are relevant to the job description. I think that's going to be really huge from the resume standpoint. But yeah, I think it's a trend that I'm hoping to see reverse, because there's so many times, that a degree, they want this degree, but it really is kind of, I mean, what if they got the degree 20 years ago? How relevant are those things to doing some continuing education? I know that I, as an employer, when I was in that situation, would look much more favorably on someone who's continued to develop themselves professionally over the years versus someone who's just like, done, got it, peace
That's
out.
Yeah, I mean, it's an antiquated way of looking at things, because that's a very valid point. What they went to school for 20 years ago is not, you know, what they may be doing it now, but as far as like what they learned in college, where you've got this person who's doing the job. They've been taking the courses and they're doing these certifications. So I think they need to kind of just take all of that into consideration.
So you kind of alluded to this already, but I want you to maybe dive a little bit deeper and maybe not too deep, because I think you and I talked about maybe even coming back and doing another episode. But I really want to know, or would like for you to share with the audience, like when you're working with a recruiter, how that might be able to help you if you don't have quite everything you're needing, and why that might be to your advantage versus going at it alone.
Well, obviously, here at Robert Half, we do have a great reputation. So we have a lot of relationships that we've had for many, many years, and we develop them all the time. So we're very close to our hiring managers, our HR people. So, I've had situations where I might have a resume and I may send it over to a hiring manager, and they may be like, nah, they just don't have XYZ, but I've spoken to them.
Mhm.
I've actually recruited them. I've gone through the vetting process. I've done a face to face, whether it be in person or via team. So I know them and I know what their, personality is like. We do behavioral assessments when we're on these interviews. Um, so it just kind of helps us speak better for the candidates when they're going through Robert Half and using us, as a recruiter and headhunter for them. Um, so yeah, that's what I was going to say on that. And the other thing is that what I like to tell our employers as well is we do offer specialized assessments. So if a employer is concerned that maybe they don't know, anybody can say they're an Excel guru, but are they really? Well, we can
Yeah,
test on that. We also have tests surrounding, we have hundreds of tests, but specifically when it comes to what our topic here is in the accounting and finance world, we have tests to do with accounting and finance roles to test their capabilities and things like that. So there are ways to find out if a person is qualified versus just checking a box of do they have a degree or not.
absolutely. And I would think too that that's probably also reassuring for the candidate, the job seeker as well, that they can come to a company like Robert Half and go through a battery of assessments and go, okay, I'm not going to bark up this tree. I'm wasting my time here, but maybe there's a better fit for me somewhere else too.
That's a
Um,
really good point as well. So a lot of time, and people are talking about this a lot, but transferable skills. So
mhm.
I may be talking to somebody about, their AP and AR. So, accounts payable, accounts receivable. And we also do human resources positions as well. So there have been plenty of times where I will talk to a candidate and be like, you know what? You've actually got some transferable skills here that we can parlay into like an HR career. Are you, and I've had people be like, yeah, human resources is actually what I want to be doing. And so it's all about just kind of getting to know them and learning what those transferable skills are and just having those conversations and seeing where they want to ultimately be.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. You know, what I'd like to kind of transition into is tell me a little bit more about Robert Half. Tell me what if someone comes to you, what can they expect? And what kind of positions? I know it's accounting and finance, but is there anything specific that you're looking for right now that you want to put out to the world and share with this audience?
Yeah. So, what our candidates can expect is for us to not only take their resume, but again, we want to genuinely get to know you. We want to see your face. Again, come in, we can do it on camera, but we want to learn about not only your experience, but where do you see yourself? What is that goal job title? Where do you want to be? And so we really try to get to know them, learn about their strengths. We then will always check references, preferably people that they've actually been working with, whether it's a superior or somebody that has done the day to day with them, just so we can get a better understanding. Because oftentimes those references give us even more insight into the individual versus what they, some people aren't great at selling themselves, right? So whenever we check references, it's really, really helpful for us. So we learn about what you are in need of, and then any roles that we have that come available that fit their experience and their needs, we then will reach out and let them know, hey, I've got this role that came up. I think you would be perfect for it. Let me tell you about it. So that's what we do as a whole. And so my team particularly, we do handle permanent placement, so direct placement positions for finance, accounting, and HR roles specifically. And so for those that don't know, that's where a company would come to us and ask for an individual. And after an interview process, you would immediately go onto their payroll. So you would never be a Robert Half employee. You would go directly to that individual. The second thing would be our full-time engagement professionals. So we have an in-house team of consultants, and basically these people go out to our clients and do specific projects. So this is mainly in the accounting and finance world. And what they do is they're just a dedicated support team to our clients. And so we offer those people, those are actual Robert Half employees. And then we also have our contract and finance and accounting department. And so those are individuals that do go out on a more temporary basis, and they're there for a limited amount of time, and then can ultimately be brought on as full-time professionals. So and that's another thing I was going to share earlier is maybe you don't have all of the you don't have the degree and you don't have a lot of the experience. Our contract team is a really good place to get started because you can get a foot in the door at a company in an accounting type role and then learn a ton there, get that experience, and then ultimately go full-time with them or take that experience to another employer. Lastly, I wanted to mention our administrative and customer support team for contract. And so they deal with companies on admins, customer support, things like that. So I know that team currently is in need of office managers, admins, especially when it comes to medical facilities. If you have experience there, any experience there, especially in the construction or the service industry, they're really looking for great people there. As far as the contract, finance, and accounting, they're always looking for bookkeepers and AP and AR related experience. And then my team currently, we are looking for staff accountants, senior accountants. I know we're currently looking for a director of finance. We are also looking for a corporate controller. We're looking for tax managers, auditors, kind of covering the gamut there. We're also looking for an HR manager and HR generalist. So whether you're a company in need of these type of candidates or you're a candidate that have these criteria, I would love to speak to you.
That's so awesome. And I will add, from having come from that industry as well, one of the things that I think is so unique and special about it is that a lot of places like Robert Half, like my former company, where you specialize in a certain niche. You're not trying to be everything to every employer in Central Arkansas, but you are focused on accounting, finance, the HR positions, the admin, some of these different types of roles, but they're all, I guess the point I'm trying to make is, as you're recruiting, you can cast a little bit of a broader net, because if they don't fit for one position, you've got a lot of different roles. And for the employer, why this is so good is you're always keeping a pool of people. And I don't want to fuel the misconception that you've got someone sitting out in your lobby ready to go. But at the same time, you are probably going to fill the role a lot faster than they would if they're doing it on their own. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And people have so much on their plates these days, and they can trust us to make sure that we're doing the vetting process and doing all the things that I shared that we do earlier to kind of take a load off.
Hmm. And I can attest for having competed against Robert Half is that you guys have really good relationships with your clients. I mean, they're very much loyal. And I think that's just awesome when you can get in there and build that relationship and they have trust that you're going to send them the right type of people. And the nice thing is, as well, for the job seeker, you know those accounts so well, you know those companies so well that you can actually know if someone after interviewing and after doing the screening how well they're actually going to fit.
Absolutely.
And I love the idea of being able to go to a company and not just get the type of work I'm looking for, but being a good fit in that company.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
It was truly one of the things before we even got into this industry. When I was a trailing spouse, I loved being able to go to the staffing services and the direct hire places and being able to say, okay, where can you find me a home? And it's
Yeah.
just an awesome way to get a job and
Yeah.
to learn new skills as well. So
Right.
yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. And tell me, where is the best places for people to find you, to learn more about you?
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, I'm here on LinkedIn, Misti Hurd. Definitely connect with me there. You can always email me directly. If you're looking for a job, feel free to send me your resume, or you can apply at roberthalf.com. If you are an employer, feel free to email me at Misti Hurd. It's Misti.Hurd at roberthalf.com, or
Mhm.
send an in message on LinkedIn.
Very good. I have dropped that, and I've also dropped the link for them to find Robert Half on LinkedIn as well. And I also am going. You talked a little bit about the salary guide, and
Yes.
I'm going to drop the link for that. Can you just tell us just a little bit more about the salary guide before we go?
Yes. So everybody gets excited about this coming out at the end of the year, every year for the next year, because that's when everybody's looking at budgets. They're looking at who they need to bring on in the next year. Our salary guide is really, really helpful with hiring and compensation trends, looking at markets and different things like that. And you can actually look at different numbers and graphs and things and learn about that. But it's also really, really simple in that if you're looking for whatever the role is, you go in and you type the job title, you type the city, and then it will pop up the low, median, and high range of the position. So it'll let you know if you're on target for the compensation as you're doing your hiring in 2024.
And this is great for job seekers as well because it helps them to know
Good point.
as well, am I in line with
That's
what
right.
I'm requesting? And I
Absolutely.
always encourage all of my clients, be sure to do your research there because you don't want to go in dead set on a certain thing and it not be realistic or to undervalue yourself as
That's
well.
right.
So
Yep. Absolutely.
um, we did have one comment, and I'm sorry it did not put this person's name, but said thank you for this. As someone with an incomplete degree, I'm looking forward to this information. So that was kind of
Awesome.
early on. So I'm so glad that you watched this, and I hope that you found it was helpful. If you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to either Misty or I because it is definitely something that I think both of us, it's near and dear to our heart. And I know Misty in her bio mentioned, that just that passion for connecting people with the right opportunity. There are employers, I just want to reiterate, there are employers that will bend on this when they find the right person. There's going to be some that they just can't. I mean, it's too high in corporate. There's just other reasons, like you alluded to with the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry. Um, but there's going to be some that can. And so I always encourage any job seeker, when you look at those job descriptions, if you don't check every box, don't let that scare you away,
Yeah.
but show in that resume, show in that interview your transferable skills like you talked about, but also showcase how what you did relates to what they do, and talk about um, how you accomplish things, as well as use quantifiable data as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you so much. This has been really, really helpful. We've covered a whole lot of information. I would love to know, for any of you people, any of you guys that are watching, what your biggest takeaway is, or if you know someone that could benefit from this, please tag them in the comments. Also, for those of you who are catching the replay, remember to use hashtag replay so that we'll know that you saw us and when you saw us. And again, if you have questions, we'll definitely come back and check on those as well. I want to reiterate, make sure that you follow both of us on LinkedIn, and when you go to our profiles, in the right-hand corner, there's a little bell. So make sure you click on that and you'll get notified of our post when we post, because we both post some really good content, some good useful information. I know that Misty posts a lot of the job positions that they get. And so those are going to be hot off the press when she posts them. And that is what time you want to jump in on it. And I know you don't want to miss that. So if you are interested in accounting and finance, definitely make sure that you're following her there. Just a reminder too, that I want you to make sure that you grab your LinkedIn Success Blueprint checklist if you haven't already. It is free to you, and it's going to walk you through the exact steps that you need to take to max out your profile to help you be more visible on LinkedIn. I'm going to drop this in the chat real quick so that you have it. And there it goes, I think. Yeah. All right. But you can pick that up and download your copy of that. And there's some helpful videos in that as well to walk you through all things using LinkedIn, because I feel like it is the best place for a job seeker to be visible and be found by people like Misty who are looking for you. And so do that. Okay. And next week, I will be back on Wednesday at 12:30 Central Standard Time. So be sure to mark your calendar. We're still going to be talking about job searching. And I just wish each of you a great week. And I will see you in our next live stream.